The young and the restless spoilers shock Martin raced back to Genoa City with a heart heavy with regret and resolve. His plan had crumbled, not because he was fleeing from danger, but because he had discovered something far more complicated than anticipated. As he drove through the rain-soaked streets, memories of what he'd left behind in Paris flooded his mind, each one a painful reminder of his duty and his passion for the woman he loved. Martin's return was not an escape, it was a calculated re-entry into a world of betrayal, secrets, and lingering vengeance. In Paris, he had done everything he could to save Jordan. With trembling hands and a fierce determination, Martin had whisked her away to the city of light, where the promise of a fresh start beckoned even in the midst of unspeakable pain. Jordan's life had been shattered by an unspeakable act, and Martin had become her reluctant guardian, an anchor in a storm of conspiracies and hidden enemies. Now, as he navigated the backroads of Genoa City, his mind could not escape the enigma of Jordan, a woman whose presence was a constant, lingering whisper in his heart. Despite the failure of his original plan, Martin was driven by a singular purpose: revenge. The true enemy was no ordinary foe, but a woman who had inflicted unimaginable pain upon them both, Sharon. Sharon, with her ruthless ambitions and cunning maneuvers, had not only orchestrated the murder of Jordan but had also shattered countless lives in the process. In Martin's eyes, Sharon was the embodiment of every betrayal he had ever endured, and her downfall was inevitable. But there was another complication, a puzzle that Martin couldn't quite piece together: the inexplicable photograph of Jordan that surfaced on his phone. It was a casual glance at a video introduction that had led him to an image he couldn't ignore. The photo of Jordan was unlike anything he expected to see. A moment frozen in time that revealed a depth of emotion and vulnerability that he had never witnessed before. How had this picture ended up in his possession? And more importantly, what did it signify about the relationship between Jordan and him? There was more to the story, hidden behind layers of silence and secrets that only one person dared to know: Claire. Claire had always been the quiet observer, the keeper of truths that were too dangerous to voice. Only she understood the complex web that bound Martin and Jordan together, a history woven with threads of passion, regret, and redemption. Her eyes betrayed a deep-seated fear whenever the subject arose, a fear born from the knowledge of secrets that could dismantle lives and shatter reputations. With every glance, every sidelong remark, Claire reminded Martin that some truths were too volatile to be shared, that the scars of the past were best left untouched. The bond between Martin and Jordan was a tapestry of shared pain and unspoken promises. Martin had rescued Jordan from the abyss of her suffering, risking his own well-being to transport her to the sanctuary of Paris, where her physical wounds could be tended to. Yet, the scars on her soul were deeper than any physical injury, and their shared journey was one of tentative hope and underlying tension. The mystery behind the photograph lingered like a shadow over their relationship. It suggested a closeness that went beyond a simple savior-rescued dynamic, hinting at a level of intimacy and mutual understanding that neither of them had ever fully acknowledged in the light of day. Now, back in Genoa City, Martin was poised to confront the demons that had driven him into a relentless cycle of retribution. His heart pounded with determination as he stepped into the dimly lit foyer of an old, familiar building, a place where whispers of the past echoed in every corner. The weight of his mission was palpable. Every step was measured, every breath deliberate, as he prepared to dismantle the intricate network of lies and deceit that Sharon had so carefully constructed. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with tension and suppressed emotions. In a discreet room at the back, Martin's trusted allies gathered around a battered wooden table, maps and documents strewn about in chaotic precision. Here, the lines between friend and foe blurred. As Martin detailed his plan for retribution, his voice resonated with both authority and vulnerability. The image of Jordan, with her quiet strength and hidden sorrow, was a constant reminder of why he could not afford to fail. "This isn't just about revenge," Martin said, his eyes fixed on the weathered documents before him. "It's about restoring balance. It's about ensuring that no one else suffers at the hands of Sharon's cruelty." His words carried a gravity that was impossible to ignore. Every person in that room felt the weight of his resolve, the unspoken promise that they would do whatever it took to bring justice to those who had been wronged. But amid all the scheming and plotting, there was a tender, unspoken query that haunted Martin: what had become of the woman he truly cared about? The same woman whose image, though elusive and hidden behind layers of suspicion, had left an indelible mark on his soul. Was she still in Genoa City, or had fate carried her away to a distant, unreachable horizon? The thought gnawed at him like an unrelenting specter, a personal mystery that remained unsolved amidst the chaos of his mission. The clues were there, scattered like fragments of a broken mirror. Martin's phone, with its inexplicable photograph of Jordan, was a puzzle he was determined to solve. Who had taken that photo? Was it a deliberate message, a sign that someone else was watching over them, or perhaps manipulating the narrative for reasons unknown? The ambiguity of the moment made every interaction and every glance a potential key to unlocking a truth that was as elusive as it was dangerous. As the night deepened, Martin's thoughts turned once more to Claire, whose quiet presence in his life had become both a blessing and a curse. Only she knew the full extent of the past, the hidden meetings, the hushed conversations in dimly lit corners, and the dangerous liaisons that had forever altered the course of their destinies. Her silence was not born of indifference, but rather from a profound fear that the truth, once exposed, could lead to irreparable consequences. In the labyrinth of Genoa City's secrets, Claire was both a guardian and a prisoner of the truth. The plan was risky, and Martin's return to Genoa City was just the beginning. His focus was clear: to track down Sharon and make her pay for the unspeakable crime that had ripped Jordan's life apart. Sharon's network of influence was formidable, her reach extending into every corner of the city's underbelly. But Martin was prepared to risk everything: his reputation, his life, and even the fragile hope of rekindling the lost connection with the woman who had captured his heart. In a dramatic twist of fate, the unfolding events soon revealed that Sharon herself was not merely a cold-hearted villain. There were hidden motivations, long-buried secrets, and alliances that were as precarious as they were dangerous. The revelation that Sharon might have been acting under duress, or perhaps as part of a larger, more convoluted scheme, added layers of complexity to Martin's quest. Every step he took was shadowed by the possibility that his enemies were not just faceless figures in the night, but individuals with their own tragic histories and hidden agendas. Amid this intricate web of betrayal, the mystery of the photograph loomed larger. It was as if the image was a silent testament to a love that had been tarnished by circumstance, a love that had survived the darkest of storms yet remained shrouded in ambiguity. Martin couldn't help but wonder if the photo was an omen or a desperate cry for help, a clue left behind by someone who understood the true cost of their shared history. As the city slept, Martin prepared for the final act of his dangerous play. With a steely resolve, he knew that the coming days would test not only his strategic acumen but also his capacity for forgiveness and understanding. The lines between friend and foe were increasingly blurred, and in a world where every ally could be a potential betrayer, trust became the most elusive commodity of all. In this moment of impending confrontation, the stakes could not have been higher. Martin's return to Genoa City was not simply a retreat to familiar territory. It was a battle cry against injustice. Each secret unraveled, every hidden motive exposed, and the ultimate showdown with Sharon would determine the fate of not just Jordan, but also the legacy of a love that had been forged in adversity. As dawn began to break, Martin stood on the precipice of destiny, his eyes reflecting a turbulent mix of pain, determination, and hope. The intricate threads of past and present converged into a single, undeniable truth: the quest for vengeance was inextricably linked to the search for redemption. And in that moment, as the first light of day touched the skyline of Genoa City, Martin vowed that he would stop at nothing until every shadow was illuminated, every secret laid bare, and the wrongs of the past finally brought to justice. Thus, the stage was set for a confrontation that would not only change the course of Martin's life but also forever alter the fate of those entwined in the tangled, perilous world of Genoa City. With his heart as both a battlefield and a beacon, Martin embarked on his quest, determined to reclaim a future where love and loyalty might finally triumph over the darkness of betrayal. In the dead of night, as shadows crept across the narrow alleys of Genoa City, an unsettling murmur began to circulate, a whisper of a return that promised chaos and retribution. If Jordan were indeed alive, the implications were staggering. No longer the defeated captive, she was a force unto herself, a relentless spirit who had once been confined in the cold, unforgiving basement by Victor. Now, fueled by years of simmering hatred and an unyielding will to survive, Jordan was ready to reclaim her power. And by her side stood Martin, the man whose own life had been defined by love, loss, and a burning desire for justice. The once distant dream of their reunion had now become a blazing reality. Their escape from the clutches of despair was imminent, and together they were destined to unleash a storm upon Genoa City, a storm that would shake the very foundations of those who had wronged them. In the dark underbelly of the city, where secrets festered and alliances were as fragile as glass, Martin and Jordan's impending return was the spark that would ignite an inferno of retribution. Jordan's history with Victor was the stuff of whispered legend. Locked away in the depths of a desolate basement, she was left to rot behind iron bars and cold stone walls, a prison designed to break her spirit. But Jordan was never one to be subdued. She had endured the unbearable, her clever mind turning even the smallest scraps of hope into a formidable weapon against her captor. That unyielding determination had been the cornerstone of her survival, transforming the very place of her confinement into a crucible for her rebirth. Now, every scar and every wound was a testament to her resilience, a reminder that no prison, however fortified, could ever truly contain her. Victor, once a towering figure of menace and influence, had made many enemies over the years, but none more formidable than Jordan. Her existence was a constant threat to his dominion, a living embodiment of his past misdeeds, and an ever-present reminder that the sins of his actions could never be buried. As she prepared to step out of the shadows, the city braced itself. Not even the cunning plots of Dumas could capture the sheer audacity of Jordan's escape. She was not a mere pawn in a larger game, she was the game changer. Martin, ever the strategist, had long foreseen the inevitable collision course between his own destiny and that of his formidable partner. Their paths had intertwined in the crucible of mutual suffering and shared ambition, forging a bond that was both fierce and fragile. Together, they had weathered storms of betrayal and loss, each step forward marred by the haunting specter of past mistakes. But now, with the clock ticking down to their grand return, every moment pulsed with a mixture of anticipation and dread. Late one evening, as rain pelted against the stained glass of a derelict warehouse, a meeting point for those who thrived in the shadows, Martin and Jordan convened with a small, trusted circle of allies. The air was thick with tension and the unspoken promise of upheaval. In hushed tones, plans were laid, and strategies refined. Martin's eyes burned with a quiet intensity as he outlined the next phase of their mission. Their target was clear: Victor's empire, which had long been built upon deceit and cruelty, was about to crumble beneath the weight of retribution. Tonight, Martin declared, his voice steady yet charged with emotion, we take back what was stolen from us. We show them that no matter how high they build their walls, no prison can hold the truth of our resolve. Victor may have thought he could silence Jordan forever, but tonight, he will learn that hatred and hope are far more powerful than fear. Jordan's gaze was steely and unyielding. Every word Martin spoke resonated with her own long-suppressed fury and determination. In that moment, the duo became the embodiment of defiance, a reminder that those who had been broken could, in time, be remade into something indomitable. Her voice, soft but laden with a lifetime of pain and perseverance, replied, I may have been confined in a cell, but my mind was always free. I am not the victim he intended me to be. I am the storm he never saw coming. As plans took shape, the city around them began to stir with the premonition of impending chaos. Rumors of Victor's dwindling power and the mysterious reappearance of a long-thought-dead enemy reached the ears of his loyalists. They whispered in corners and behind locked doors that Jordan, the cunning, immortal force of nature, was making her move. And as the night deepened, the stage was set for a confrontation that would shatter the calm facade of Genoa City. In the days that followed, a series of calculated strikes rattled Victor's domain. His henchmen found themselves on the run, their once assured grip on power loosening with each passing hour. As the city's underworld buzzed with anxiety, Martin and Jordan remained in the shadows, meticulously orchestrating each phase of their rebellion. Their alliance was more than a mere partnership, it was a merging of souls scarred by loss and driven by an insatiable thirst for justice. Every clandestine meeting, every whispered conversation in the back alleys, carried the weight of a long-held promise. The duo's actions were not just about dismantling a corrupt empire, they were about reclaiming the autonomy of those who had been silenced for too long. Victor's empire, built on a foundation of lies and cruelty, was now vulnerable to the relentless force of truth. In an underground safehouse that overlooked the sprawling labyrinth of the city's maze-like streets, Martin pored over a series of old blueprints and surveillance photos. His eyes, sharp and calculating, traced the contours of Victor's once impenetrable network. Every line on the map was a potential pathway to expose hidden chambers of corruption, a pathway that would lead them right into the heart of the enemy's lair. Meanwhile, Jordan, with the quiet confidence of one who had stared death in the face and emerged unbroken, prepared for the final confrontation. Her mind was a labyrinth of memories, a kaleidoscope of pain, betrayal, and unwavering resolve. She recalled every moment of captivity, every moment when Victor's icy grip had tried to snuff out the fire within her. But those moments had only served to ignite a fiercer blaze, a determination that no wall could contain and no cell could confine. In a rare moment of vulnerability, as they sat together in the safe house, Martin asked the question that had haunted him since their reunion, "Jordan, after everything we've endured, what do you see when you look into the future? Is it revenge, redemption, or something else entirely?" Jordan's eyes softened momentarily, reflecting the tumult of emotions beneath her hardened exterior. "It's both," she replied quietly. "Revenge is what fuels us, but redemption is what we ultimately seek. For every act of cruelty that has defined our past, there must be a moment of justice, a moment when those who have suffered finally find solace in the downfall of those who tormented them." The gravity of their mission loomed larger as they stepped out into the cold embrace of dawn. Genoa City, with all its intricate web of power and deceit, was about to witness a reckoning that would etch their names into its dark history. Martin and Jordan were not merely seeking to dismantle Victor's empire, they were on a crusade to liberate every soul that had been subjugated by his tyranny. With the first light of day breaking over the horizon, the city awoke to a new reality. The specter of Victor's downfall was tangible, and as whispers of rebellion grew louder, so did the resolve of those who had suffered for far too long. Martin and Jordan, united by a shared past and an unbreakable bond, moved stealthily through the city's labyrinthine streets, ready to set their plan into motion. Every step they took was laden with the promise of a future where justice would prevail, where the ghosts of their past would finally be laid to rest. The fight was far from over, and the path ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty. But one thing was clear, the indomitable spirit of Jordan, her resilience, her cunning, her unyielding determination, combined with Martin's strategic brilliance, would ensure that no matter what obstacles lay in their path, they would rise victorious. The stage was set. The enemy, Victor, a man whose legacy was built on manipulation and cruelty, was about to face the wrath of a woman who had never truly died and a man whose love and loyalty had known no bounds. As Genoa City held its breath in anticipation, Martin and Jordan prepared to unleash a torrent of retribution that would not only upend the existing order but also redefine the very essence of resistance. In the coming hours, as chaos reigned and secrets spilled into the open, one truth would become undeniable: some wounds never truly heal, and some fires, once lit, can never be extinguished. With their hearts ablaze and their minds set on a singular goal, Martin and Jordan stepped forward into the fray, ready to write the next, blood-stained chapter of their tumultuous saga, a chapter where the chains of oppression would be shattered, and where the promise of a new dawn beckoned with every shattered barrier, every shattered lie. And so, with the city as their battleground and the legacy of the past as both their guide and their curse, they embarked on a journey that would forever alter the fate of those who dared to stand against tyranny. Their love, their pain, and their unyielding pursuit of justice had brought them to this defining moment, where every step was a declaration that no prison, whether of stone or of the human soul, could ever hold back the tide of true freedom.